A lot of parents around this country completely unaware of the disturbing sexualization of our children in GovEd schools. Children are being introduced to kink, taught incomplete science, and even encouraged to make dangerous choices with their lives. And an everyday American mom has made it her mission to expose this dark agenda. Watch.
The effort to ban books is accelerating across this country.
Are you guys familiar with either of these books?
This is in school?
I don't think it will be shown in a school. I don't think it's a part of education.
Up until about 5 minutes ago, I was just your average American mother. Then Sunny put me on YouTube and we started speaking our minds.
Have you heard of the based mother?
What started out as fun has turned into a mission I never saw coming. One to protect America's children from being sexualized by our school system.
What would you think of a teacher that wanted to talk about this with his or her students?
They should be jailed.
The teachers are not responsible for teaching my great-grandchildren how to stick it up somebody's.
Well, if you or I gave it to kids in school, parents would have us locked up. It's literally sexual abuse of children.
Wow. Full documentary is free to watch for everybody. It's called American Groomer. It's at AmericanGroomerFilm.com. Let's bring in our panel, the filmmaker herself, Elena Barbera, and Senior Advisor of Parents Defending Education, Michele Exner. Ladies, welcome. Elena, you first. I just got to know, what prompted you to go from, mom, trying to make ends meet in America these days, to a documentary filmmaker? What happened?
Well, last summer I was sitting around the kitchen table and talking with a bunch of family, and I was telling them about what's going on in our schools, that there's pornography and that kids are being hurt. And most people at the table didn't believe me. They wouldn't even acknowledge that it might be true. And I started asking more people and realized that the mainstream media was covering all of this up by saying that there were book bans and that, people were just anti-trans and homophobes. And I realized I had to do something to tell the truth. So I bought all the books, I read them, and I realized they were even worse than I thought. And so I put this film together. I've always been a writer, but I've never made a film. And I learned how to do it because I needed to do something to help my country because we're burning.
Amazing. Now, Michele, parents have no voice in what GovEd does to their children. The left and sellout Republicans have made sure of all of that. Doesn't this pushing of perversion in GovEd underscore the need for universal education freedom in the United States?
Absolutely. Parents should have a say in what their kids are learning. And right now, there's a rush by radical activists who have infiltrated our classrooms, and they want to rip the innocence away from children. I'm a mother of two school-age children, and I want to preserve their innocence. And every parent across America deserves to have that right. But for whatever reason, whether it's consultant groups that are trying to make money off school districts to get their nonsense into our classrooms, there is now a rush to take that away from children, and it is a shame.
It is. And ladies, as if it weren't bad enough with GovEd shoving this garbage in our children's faces, big tech has a role in this too. And big tech CEOs were grilled on Capitol Hill yesterday for their platform's role in exploiting our children. Senator Josh Hawley demanded Mark Zuckerberg apologize to families whose children were harmed by his social media platforms. Watch this.
There's families of victims here today. Have you apologized to the victims? Would you like to do so now? Well, they're here. You're on national television. Would you like now to apologize to the victims who have been harmed by your product? Show them the pictures. Would you like to apologize for what you've done to these good people?
I'm sorry for everything that no one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered.
So there he is. I'm sorry for everything you've had to go through. Elena, leaving out the anti-conservative suppression of free speech on these platforms, the way they exploit children, it's got to be addressed, no?
Well, you know what? Between the government, the big tech, and the schools, they've already proven that they can't be trusted with our children. So at this point, it is on us to just say, we've had enough of all of you, and to separate our children from these organizations. Yes, they need to do more because some parents won't, but it's really on us at this point. How many times do we have to be punched in the face before we stop and say, we're out of here?
Yeah, Michele, what about that? I think these people have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt we shouldn't be trusting them with our children's futures.
Absolutely, Chris. And you hit it at the beginning, right? The irony that these companies and their employees have spent so much time censoring conservative voices, censoring political opinions that they disagree with. But what about the children, right? And in the meantime, they've abandoned the security of children. The gut-wrenching stories from the parents that were in that hearing room, the ones we've heard, whether they've been extorted for money and driven to their suicide, whether they've gotten fentanyl pills off sites from Instagram or Facebook that they've gotten. It's truly devastating. And the fact that these companies have such misplaced priorities that they rather go after their political opponents than they are interested in protecting America's children.
Yeah, they're only left-wingers after all. Elena Barbera and Michele Exner, thank you very much. Appreciate the time.